Light and cameras. Have you ever wondered how a camera captures a photograph? Imagine you're taking a picture with a camera. When you press the button, something very interesting happens. The camera uses light to capture the picture. Light is a special kind of energy that helps us to see the world around us. When you look at an object, light bounces off that object and enters your eyes. This is how you can see things. Cameras also use light to capture images. Inside a camera there is a part called a lens. The lens is like a special window that lets light come inside. When you press the button, the lens opens up for a short time, allowing light in to enter the camera. Now the light carries all the information about the object you want to capture. It carries the colours, shapes and details of the object. When the light enters the camera, it falls on a special surface called the image sensor. The image sensor is like a tiny electronic eye that can detect light. It quickly captures the light and turns it into an electrical signal. This signal is then sent to another part of the camera called the processor. The processor is like the brain of the camera. It takes the electrical signal and turns it into a digital image. This digital image is what you see on the camera screen or when you transfer the picture to a computer. So, in simple terms, the camera uses light to capture the picture. The lens lets the light in and the image sensor captures it. The processor turns it into a digital image. That's how a camera works with the help of light. But what is light? Light is a very special thing that helps us to see the world around us. It's like a bright, invisible energy that travels really fast. In fact, light is the fastest thing we know, even faster than the speed of sound. When you turn on a lamp or the sun shines, light comes out and fills the room. It's like turning on a flashlight, but much, much faster. Light can also come from things like stars, fireflies, or even the screen of your tablet or TV. Light is made up of tiny particles called photons. These photons are like little packets of energy that zoom through the air. They move so quickly that they can travel from the sun to the earth in just a few minutes. One cool thing about light is that it comes in different colours. You might have seen a rainbow before, right? Well, that's the light showing off all its beautiful colours. When the light passes through something called a prism, it splits into the colours like red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo and violet. Another amazing thing about light is that it can bounce off objects. When light hits something like a ball or a tree, it bounces back into our eyes. That's how we see things. Our eyes are like special cameras that capture the light and send messages to our brain telling us what we're looking at. Light is also really important for plants. They use a special process called photosynthesis to turn light into food. Without light, plants wouldn't be able to grow and make the oxygen that we need to breathe. So, light is this incredible energy that helps us see, splits into colours and even helps plants to grow. It's all around us, even when we can't see it. Isn't that amazing? White light. Each ray of sunlight is made up of all the colours in the visible spectrum, including red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo and violet. When all these colours combine, we get white light. When light hits an object, the object will reflect some of the light and then absorbs the rest of the light. The light which is reflected is the colours that we see. Some objects reflect more of a certain wavelength or colour than others. For example, a strawberry reflects mostly red light and absorbs the rest. Black and white work differently to the other colours. When we see white, it's because all the light colours are being reflected by the object back at us. Black is the reverse. When we see black, it's because all the light colours are being absorbed by the object. Lenses. A lens is a special piece of glass or plastic that can bend light. It's like a magical tool that helps us to see things more clearly. You might have seen lenses in glasses or even in a magnifying glass. Now imagine you have a beam of light coming straight towards you. When it hits a lens, something interesting happens. The lens takes the light and bends it. It can make the light rays come together or spread them apart. There are two main types of lenses, convex and concave. A convex lens is thicker in the middle and thinner at the edges. It's like a little bulge. When light passes through the convex lens, it bends the light rays inwards. This can make things look bigger and closer, just like a magnifying glass. On the other hand, a concave lens is thinner in the middle and thicker at the edges. It's like a little dip. When light passes through a concave lens, it spreads the light rays apart. This can make things look smaller and further away. Lenses are used in many things, including cameras, telescopes, and even microscopes. In a camera, the lens helps focus the light into the image sensor, which captures the picture. In a telescope, the lens helps gather the light from far away objects, making them appear closer and clearer. Refraction. Refraction is a really cool phenomenon that happens when light travels through different materials like air, water or glass. It's like light taking a little detour. When light travels in a straight line and then enters a different material, it can change direction. This change in direction is called refraction. It happens because light travels at different speeds in different materials. Imagine you have a straw in a glass of water. When you look at the straw from the side of the glass, it may look like it's bending or not in the right place, but in reality it's just the light rays from the straw that are bending when they pass through the water to the air. The bending of light is caused by a change in speed as it moves from one material to another. When light goes from a molecule-dense material, like water, to a material with molecules spaced further apart, like air, it bends away from what we see. That's why the straw appears to be in a different position. Refraction also happens when light passes through a lens, like the ones we talked about earlier. The lens can bend the light in a specific way, which helps us to see things more clearly or magnifies them. One more fun thing about refraction is that it can create rainbows. When sunlight passes through tiny water droplets in the air, the light bends and separates into different colours based on their wavelengths, forming beautiful rainbows in the sky. Refraction demonstration. Why does it happen? Light can only travel in straight lines. This is why we can't see around corners without help. It can, however, bounce. It can also travel through certain materials, and if these materials are clear enough, we can actually observe the change in speed. We see it as a distortion of an image where the speed change has caused the light to bend. The angle at which the bend occurs depends on the material the light is travelling through. Imagine that your hand is a ray of light. Swing your arm up and down in the air. It moves pretty easily, right? Next time you're in the water or a swimming pool, move the same motion in the water. Does it move as easily? A light beam feels the same way travelling through air and water. The light bounces off the objects and will enter the eye, casting an image as it travels through the lens and is projected onto the retina at the back of the eye. The image is then processed by the brain, but the brain can be fooled by optical illusions, tricks that fool the brain into thinking that the eye is seeing something different. Light and the way it moves is the culprit. When the light moves through an empty glass, it bends slightly when it hits the surface, causing it to slow down. The glass is not very thick, and the light passes through and resumes its speed again until it hits the other side, briefly slows down, and then regains its speed and continues on its path. If the glass is empty, there may be a slight distortion in an image behind it, but not too much. As the glass fills with water, another transparent material, but of a different density to the glass, the light will slow on reaching the glass, but change speed again as it hits the water, and it stay at this reduced speed until it reaches the other side of the glass, where it slows down even more before speeding up to its original speed. Each time it gets to a different material, the speed change causes the light to bend at a different angle. This bending causes the eye to view the image as distorted. The image behind the glass is passed where multiple rays of light have gathered at a focal point. The light rays, continuing in their straight line, have crossed past each other in an X formation, where the centre of the X is the focal point. This means that the image reflected back to the observing eye has reversed as the line travelling from left to right, and vice versa, are reflected back from opposite ends to where the eye is expecting them to be. When the pencil is immersed in the glass of water, when you look down from the top into the glass, there's not much difference to be seen because the light is travelling in the same direction that you are viewing, and it's reflected back almost along the same line. When you observe the pencil on the glass side on, the pencil seems crooked, and it's most noticeable at the surface of the water. It's the same phenomenon of the light bending as it moves through the air to the water. If you fill the glass with oil instead of water, the light would not bend as much, as oil is much less dense than water, meaning the refraction or bending angle of the light would be much less.